From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
A baby kidnapped as a truck was stolen from a gas station. Now at noon, a happy ending for the parents of that child as police continue to look for a suspect. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Griffin. Police in Plainfield are still on the hunt for the person who stole this pickup truck with a 6-month-old baby girl inside. The baby, however, is okay and is now back with her parents. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this midday in Plainfield with what led to this scary situation this morning. Alyssa.
Good afternoon, Nicole. This was the terrifying hours for this family as they waited for that truck and their little girl who was inside to be found. Luckily, that happened right around 9 a.m. this morning, so they had to wait a couple hours and then they were reunited with their daughter. And this all started here, this whole situation at this gas station at the corner of Hadley Road and State Route 267 in Plainfield. Plainfield police say a man was filling up the gas tank of his pickup truck and he tried to use Apple Pay at the pump, but it wasn't working. That's when he ran inside the station to pay while his pickup truck was running and unlocked and his 6-month-old daughter was asleep inside. That's when the truck was stolen. About 2.5 hours later, the pickup truck with the infant still inside was found about 12 miles away on the west side of Indianapolis. The truck was located on Beulah Avenue, just east of Lyndhurst Drive and north of the Sam Jones Expressway. The baby was not harmed, and Plainfield police drove the parents to the neighborhood where they were reunited with their daughter. And back here in Plainfield, police are still working to find the suspect who stole that car and drove it to Indianapolis before ditching it in that neighborhood. They tell us that what they know about that suspect is that was a white man, and at the time that truck was stolen, he was wearing a white t-shirt. He also had a gray beard. So if you have any information that could help police during this investigation, you're asked to contact Plainfield Police or call 911 with those details. Reporting live, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
Alyssa, thank you. So glad that baby is okay. Now we do want to get to your forecast today. Meteorologist Todd Claassen is standing by. And Todd, I went out early this morning and it was kind of chilly, but as the day goes on, it's getting warmer and warmer outside.
Yeah, you know, temperatures are climbing nicely here. And if you thought this morning was cold, Nicole, wait till the next couple of days, as we're going to get into a pretty big stretch here of morning lows that are going to be in the 40s. More on that coming up in just a little bit. Here's a live look outside right now, and you can see in Bloomington there, the sun is shining, kind of that milky sky still with that smoke that's making its way through central Indiana from those forest fires out west. Although the cold front coming through today should help to clear that out a little bit for the days ahead. So where there's more than way of clouds to the north, it's a little bit cooler. 68 in Peru, 64 in Tipton, 75 though in Indianapolis, 73 in Martinsville. Temperatures shouldn't really go up a whole lot more as this front starts to make its way through the area. If anything, we're going to start to see our temperatures decrease this afternoon. And this front is trying to have a few showers. You see a couple of them there trying to get going near Fort Wayne, but overall it's going to be pretty unsuccessful as far as any shower activity. We could really use the rain, but unfortunately this front's not going to give us any, and then Sally down to our southeast is going to stay there. That rain will not impact us here in central Indiana. So for a time it may be mostly cloudy this afternoon as the front goes through, and then this evening we'll start to clear the skies out. But again, temperature's pretty steady right around the 75 degrees through 2 p.m. Then they'll slowly fall, and by the time many people heading home from work, if they're not working from home, temperatures at that point, Nicole, will be in the 60s.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, we are still working to get more information about what led to fires that engulfed several semi-trucks on the south side of Indianapolis. The fire started around 3:30 this morning at M&K Trucking Center on Harding Court, and that's near I-465 and Harding Street. It took crews almost 4 hours to bring the fires under control. We are still working to learn more information about what caused these fires and the extent of the damage. And there's no word yet on whether those fires could be connected to a series of arson fires on the city's west side. Crews were first called to a house fire on Eugene Street near 30th and MLK around 10:30 last night. 2 houses down, another home was also on fire with heavy smoke. A third fire was reported about 2 miles away at 38th and Kenwood Avenue. No one was hurt, and all 3 fires have been ruled arsons. Metro police are still looking for suspects in the city's latest homicide. This happened overnight on the west side of Indianapolis. Police were called around 1:30 this morning to an area near North High School Road and West 30th Street. Officers say a woman died at the scene. A man with gunshot wounds was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Strong words from a central Indiana mother after a school board votes to fire 2 high school administrators.
From here, we're going to continue to fight for the children and the safety in the school.
The Northwest Hendricks School Board voted 4-0 in favor of firing Nathan and Stacy Begley. The Begleys worked as the athletic director and dean of students at Tri-West High School. The pair is accused of failing to report sexual misconduct allegations involving a teacher and student. That student is Stacy Lewis's daughter.
I'm thankful that we finally have the decision to terminate Stacy Begley, the Dean of Students, and Nathan Begley, the Athletic Director from Northwest Hendricks County. It's very disappointing, though, that it has taken over a year and them being on a paid leave and receiving a wage increase when no new information has been found. These 2 were just charged by the Hendricks County Prosecutor's Office, and it's unfortunate that our school board president spent his time playing golf with them rather than addressing it and taking care of the students.
The Begleys are charged with failure to make a report, charges they call unfounded. WRTV investigates Kara Kenny has been exposing and following the Tri-West developments for more than a year. The Begleys have been on paid leave since February when the Department of Education filed a complaint against their teaching licenses. The district has not responded to our requests asking how much compensation the Begleys have received while on paid leave. More help is on the way for Marion County residents struggling financially due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Last night, the City County Council approved a 3rd and final allocation of the CARES Act funding. The $76 million package extends existing programs that are already in place to help those in need. $7.5 million will be allocated to Marion County's rental assistance program, and more money will be allocated to help those experiencing homelessness.
This ordinance provides for $5.1 million in winter contingency homeless services. It also sets aside $3.2 million to extend our program offering non-congregate shelter space in area hotels.
Here's what you need to know to get rental assistance. Head to indyrent.org. Once you are there, you'll scroll down and click on Tenant. From there, you'll be taken to a screen that asks you for your information so that you can apply. The city says you should not delay applying for help. The mayor's office expects this current round of funding to last until the end of the year, and thousands of people are on the wait list. If you own your home and you live in Marion County, you are also getting help. The funding includes $7 million for foreclosure prevention and mortgage refinancing. Other major investments from the relief package include $7.5 million for small business grants in the hospitality industry. That includes bars, restaurants, and entertainment venues. And more than $2 million will go toward food bank support. It's a giant loss to the theater community in Indianapolis. Up next, the passing of a man who was a familiar face to the art community and who broke boundaries in giving opportunities to many people. 7 months after the COVID-19 pandemic began, and a lot of Hoosiers are still struggling to hold on to their jobs. Next, the newest evidence that recovery is a long way away for thousands of people. Todd.
And Nicole, temperatures have been running at or above normal for highs throughout much of this week, and today's no exception as we're climbing into the mid-70s right now. But we're about to enter a much cooler but bright stretch of weather as we head into your Friday and your weekend. We'll talk all about it coming up in your WRTV Storm Team forecast.
Coronavirus cases in Indiana are up slightly, though the positive test rate continues to go down. Today, the state health department reported 850 new cases of COVID-19, an increase from the last 2 days. 6 additional deaths were also reported, but the 7-day average positivity rate fell again to 4.5%. COVID-19 has taken the life of one of the best-known members of the arts community in Indianapolis. Brian Fonseca died last night from complications from the coronavirus. Fonseca was part of the Indianapolis theater scene for decades and was known for giving opportunities in the theater world to women and people of color. He co-founded the Phoenix Theater in 1983. After 35 years, he left to start the Fonseca Theater Company on the west side of Indianapolis. That theater opened a permanent home in the Hallville neighborhood last October, but was on hiatus due to the pandemic. Brian Fonseca was 65 years old. Hoosiers continue to lose their jobs at higher than normal levels as the pandemic drags on. First-time claims for regular unemployment were up again last week to just under 14,000. Applications for pandemic unemployment assistance and emergency pandemic unemployment were also higher than the previous week. That means in all, more than 34,000 Hoosiers applied for some type of unemployment help. Indiana is trending the opposite direction of the rest of the country. Nationally, applications for both regular unemployment and pandemic assistance were down last week. But as of 2 weeks ago, almost 30 million Americans are still receiving some type of unemployment payments. Law enforcement says it's doing the job, but how successful has a new anti-crime initiative actually been? Next, people in some neighborhoods tell us it may be doing more harm than good. We'll be right back. New this midday, the state attorney general's office is trying to get help for grieving families who say they lost money to a headstone company. As WRTV Investigates has reported, at least 70 people have filed complaints against Greenfield Granite. Most of them say they had paid for headstones they never received. On September 8th, Greenfield Granite owner Amy Stroll died by suicide hours before she was scheduled to appear in court to face allegations in a civil lawsuit. The attorney general's staff is working with Greenfield Police and the Hancock County Prosecutor's Office to sort out claims filed against the company. 1 month down and 2 weeks ago, a law enforcement initiative to crack down on crime and increase safety continues in Indianapolis. Earlier this week, we shared with you what Operation Legend has accomplished in the first 29 days through a collaboration between federal, state, and local agencies. 87 guns removed from the streets, 31 fugitives arrested, and more than $1 million in drug money seized. Our Cameron Riddle is taking a closer look at the impact of extra policing and why one community leader is skeptical of the short and long-term impacts of this initiative.
More beat officers in our community really did more harm than good.
Community leader D. Ross has earned a name for himself in his quest to make the Far East Side a better place through activism and a foundation. Ross often has an up-close view of issues in the area. He says Operation Legend is not helping solve those problems.
It's putting more law enforcement out here in the community. It's putting more federal agents out here in the community, and it's directly increasing the homicides.
Ross says he's witnessed the scenes of 2 homicides near 42nd and Post just this week. It is his belief that adding police or even federal agents to patrol the area is not what the East Side needs.
That has never been the answer. And what needs to be addressed is systemic poverty. This is an area that's doesn't have a grocery store. This is an area that doesn't have a library. This is an area that doesn't have a public school anymore.
Dr. Jeremy Carter is the Director of Criminal Justice and Public Safety at the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs at IUPUI. Dr. Carter agrees that adding police will not solve the ongoing problems.
If you look in any urban place where the high crime locations are, they are places that are void of good employment opportunities, food deserts, quality education, access to social services, and so forth. So I totally agree with him that if you want to get to the root causes of these issues, that's what you have to focus on.
I asked Carter about Ross's observation that more policing means more crime. He says that is not the case.
Do more cops equal more crime? They don't cause more crime or create more crime. They may account or record more crime because they're in an area, but that the actual amount of crime that's happening is not going up.
After Operation Legend wraps up at the end of the month, Ross is hoping city leaders come up with a long-term plan to heal the Far East Side.
you gotta heal the wound. And we gotta really get to a position in place where we don't need them to come out here and do indictments and sweeps in our community.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Cameron, thank you. Local law enforcement has referred WRTV to the U.S. Attorney's Office when it comes to questions about Operation Legend. Cameron has asked IMPD and the city about long-term plans after the operation is over and plans to share that response with you. Now to your forecast again on this Thursday afternoon. Todd, if you're heading out for a lunch or just for a walk, it's pretty nice. Maybe you might need a light jacket, but it's warming up as the day goes on.
Yeah, you know, it depends where you are. Temperatures are in the 60s or 70s, so I think while the sun's up, you're probably in decent shape. You probably don't need that jacket, but just know as soon as the sun starts to set this evening, it will cool off pretty quickly. Here's a live look from downtown to the north, and you can see some high, thin cloud cover starting to move in, part of a cold front that's sliding through the area. Today, the temperature at the airport in Indianapolis is 75 degrees. Look at that humidity, 55%, really, really low, so humidity is not an issue. Where there's a little more in the way of sunshine, temperatures are in the 70s, and that's essentially from I-70 to the south. The further north you go, there's a little more in the way of cloud cover, and highs are in the 60s and 70s. So for those of you in northern locations, you've already hit your high temperature for the day today. Southern locations, you'll probably go up another couple degrees before we start to cool things off. As far as the metro area, we're going to hold pretty steady, maybe go up a degree or two through about 2 or 3 o'clock. And then once that front is far enough to the south and we switch the wind direction around, notice how the temperatures start falling off already by 4 and 5 o'clock this evening. Here's the band of cloud cover that you can see. If you look really closely at the beginning of this loop, there are a few spotty showers inside that circle that we're trying to get going, but our air is just so dry. Even with this frontal passage, we're just going to deal with increased cloud cover in spots as this front moves through. So for those of you in southern locations, eventually these clouds will get to you as well. We'll miss out on all that rainfall. We could have used some of it, no doubt, from Sally that continues now to push into North Carolina as well as Virginia. With that said, if you have evening plans, you're in great shape. Here's why you might need that light jacket once the sun sets at 7:50. 65 degrees, your 9 p.m. temperature. But look what we wake up to tomorrow morning. All the way down into the 40s in most locations, right around 50 in Bloomington. So it's going to be a cooler morning tomorrow than it was this morning. And then throughout the day tomorrow, temperatures will warm with completely sunny skies, but we'll be below normal. Tomorrow, we're not getting out of the 60s for high temperatures. It's going to be one of the cooler days we've seen in a long time across central Indiana. With that said, it's going to be bright. That is the good news. As we go into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, lots of sunshine. High of 70 on Saturday, 71 on Sunday. Both those mornings start off in the low to mid 40s. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked maybe by the time we get to Sunday morning in some northern locations, we could get very close to the upper 30s. So it's going to be chilly at night, really all the way through Tuesday. But you do notice once we get past that cooler high temperature tomorrow of 68 degrees, Nicole, there is a warming trend that's going to take place next week. And by Wednesday, we're looking at high temperatures back up to near 80 degrees.
All right, Todd, thank you. Looking forward to that. Well, coming up next, a new invention that might make our first pandemic Halloween a little bit safer. That story's coming up next. You're watching the news at noon right here on WRTV. Well, we're all wondering how to trick-or-treat safely this Halloween, and an Ohio man says he has one answer. Andrew Beatty shared video of his invention, and it's a candy chute. Beatty made his 6-foot-long chute from materials around his house in Cincinnati. It's attached to the handrail of his front steps, and on Halloween night, he says he will wear a mask and gloves to drop candy down the chute for trick-or-treaters on the other side, and he hopes it will keep the holiday tradition alive. Todd, that is a pretty creative invention he has there.
I love how everybody's coming up with new and creative things to, you know, in this pandemic to come up with creative things to do. So, all right, Halloween, hopefully we get it in for all the kiddos. 73 today, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, bright sunshine, low humidity, much cooler. Cooler start, cooler finish with a high of 68. And then for Saturday and Sunday, we're looking at high temperatures right around 70 degrees with lots of sunshine.
All right, Todd, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. See you back here at 5 o'clock. Have a great afternoon.